On today's show, the Rockets blast off against the Grizzlies in a fourth quarter run to win that one at the top of the West. Then the Lakers collapse, and Cade Cunningham is here in MSG. We'll talk about all that and more on game night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
And welcome. You are locked on to NBA Game Night. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. Thanks for being in every day or making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen. Go make Locked On NBA daily with Matt Moore and Hayes and Doug Branson your next listen after this. Today's episode is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use that code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. And joining me, as always, on a Monday from the great Locked On Bucks podcast. What'd you see in the NBA tonight, Camille Davis?
I saw some young dudes making some plays. Like the future of the league looks bright, Nick. It looks really bright.
It does. It does. I'm feeling good about it. We saw some post play today. We saw all kinds of good stuff tonight. So we'll break down the 6 games that happened in the association. We'll walk through the Warriors. The Warriors go down again. That team is on a slide. We'll talk about Timberwolves getting a win, Clippers getting a win, but they sat one of their key rotation players. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And then we'll get into the Lakers collapse against San Antonio and the San Antonio Spurs emergence there. We'll talk about Cade Cunningham winning an MSG in a big way. But let's start here, Camille. The Houston Rockets get a win 120-118 against the Memphis Grizzlies. A great win for the Rockets. And now they're 3-0 against the Grizzlies. They've already won the tiebreaker in the playoffs, which is actually kind of wild if you think about how early it is in the season still. And let's hear from Jackson Gatlin from Locked On Rockets.
Houston Rockets rally from down 13 in the fourth to beat the Memphis Grizzlies 120-118. What's up? This is Jackson Gatlin, host of Locked On Rockets. Look, the Grizzlies maintained the lead and were firmly in control for most of this game until the fourth quarter, where the Rockets, led by Jalen Green and Amen Thompson, outscored the Grizzlies 33-18 over the final 9.5 minutes of action. Amen Thompson had 12 of his 19 points during that stretch, including forcing a Ja Morant turnover on a 2-for-1 drive, with the Grizzlies trailing by just 1 with under 30 seconds left to play, and followed that up with a pair of clutch free throws to make it a 3-point game. And the guy who did the heavy lifting all night long for the Rockets, Jalen Green, tying his career high with 42 points, scored in double figures every single quarter, including the go-ahead drive and finish through contact against Jaren Jackson Jr. to give the Rockets the lead for good with just over 30 seconds left. The Rockets have truly found something with Amen Thompson starting next to Jalen Green, and he's been playing like an absolute all-star since the lineup change. And here's the cherry on top of it all. The Rockets are now 3-0 against the Memphis Grizzlies this season. They hold the head-to-head tiebreaker, which could be really important for two teams that have been right there as the 2 seed and 3 seed for most of this season in the Western Conference.
The Rockets get the win there, and man, it was Jalen Green. The Grizzlies were up by 12 after a wild play where Ja Morant airballs a normal 3, and then he hits a 37-footer that he just heaved, and the Grizzlies were up by 12. It felt like they could do no wrong. Desmond Bane had gone off in the third quarter. He had 15 in the third after picking up a tech against Dylan Brooks, which don't we all pick up techs going after Dylan Brooks? And then the Rockets went on this run in the fourth quarter that Jackson talked about. What did you see in that run, Camille?
I saw Amen Thompson just affecting the game. Like we were texting during the game a little bit about like, come playoff time, is Amen Thompson going to be someone who's playable, just given the offensive limitations that he currently has this early on in his NBA career? But what he's able to do defensively, he is crazy athletic, and you see it on both sides when it comes to him, like defensively, offensively. Him in the dunker spot has been money for them. He has a nice touch when it comes to passing. And then Jalen Green. 42 points. He started off a perfect 4-4 from the game, and I'm just watching it like, man, he is quick. If he gets you on the hip, you're pretty much done at that point. He is too fast to catch up with. He had a game tonight.
Yeah, he was just on. I mean, he's just on for 13 of 18 from the field, 5 of 6 from 3, 42 points, 11 of 11 from the free throw line. It's like anything he threw up was going in. And this was a really fun game where it felt like at the beginning, especially that first quarter, it was just Jalen Green yamming and then Ja Morant yamming on the other end. They were just like trading points in the paint back and forth. But you mentioned Amen Thompson, and He affected this game in so many different ways. That alley-oop you mentioned, there was one with 1:30 left where it was a Şengün to Amen Thompson. We're going to talk about inverted like pick and rolls and inverted different you know how in life sometimes like in life people were getting rid of like gender roles and things. I feel like we're getting rid of basketball roles now. Everybody is just out there with the ball doing stuff. Like it doesn't matter how tall you are, it doesn't matter what the number of your position is. You're just out there doing basketball things. And Amen Thompson can fit in almost anywhere. He can handle the ball in transition. He defends insanely well. He had a wild block on Ja Morant, who was driving to the rim, and usually Ja Morant just kind of bumps you, and then he throws like a floater up. And instead, Amen Thompson like caught the ball on the way up to the floater and just like blocked it back.
And he made some clutch free throws down the stretch for the team as well. So, which goes to the other side, like Ja Morant missing the 2 free throws down there in the clutch with 2 seconds left. I couldn't believe Ja missed both in that situation, but it was a lot of Rockets. It felt like it was going to be a Grizzlies game. A lot was going their way. You mentioned Desmond Bane with the big third quarter that he had. He just took off in that third quarter, and it felt like, okay, the Grizzlies might be inevitable in this game, but nope, the Rockets didn't have any quit. We talked about Green, we talked about Thompson. Even Van Vliet had some plays for this team. Even though he wasn't scoring a lot, he was setting guys up and making sure guys got the best look possible on offense.
Yeah, it was a great team win. It felt overall, even though Jaylen Green was leading them in scoring. Everybody felt like everybody was contributing. Steven Adams was in there as the center during that run in the fourth quarter, like early on, and I thought he made a big impact on this team just with hustle plays, 6 offensive rebounds. These two teams are the number one and number 2 offensive rebound teams, or at least they're in top 3 in offensive rebound. That was going to be a huge key in this one. Who could win that battle? Houston got 15. Memphis only got 8. We'll talk about Memphis. That ties their lowest offensive rebound total in a game this season. But 15 for the Rockets was massive. And Steven Adams got 6 of those. He was big and all over the place in the beginning of that fourth quarter. And it's great for the Rockets now to be able to have a center to go to when Şengün sits. That hasn't been the case for them the last couple of years.
Yeah, it gives them some versatility, and that's what you need. You might not need Steven Adams in every game or come playoff time every series, but to be able to have the versatility and throw him out there is going to be really big for the Rockets. And especially like look at the Rockets and how they generate their offense. Normally the half court isn't great for the Rockets, but when they can force those turnovers and they can get out and run, it's a whole different story. And they were able to do that tonight as well, with Steven Adams being that anchor in the paint and then letting those wings and guards go out there and do their thing as well.
I'd really like to see a playoff series between these two teams just to see what that turns into, because how do they score in the half court? There was so much transition play tonight, and they were both very effective at it. And I'm curious what it looks like when everything slows down. Maybe it becomes great. Maybe it's terrible. I don't know. Amen Thompson, by the way, 19 points, 13 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, 5 blocks. First second-year player to do that since. There's no way you guess this. There's zero chance.
Is it Josh Smith?
Josh
I think I saw this. I think
Josh
it was Josh
Smith cheated. Josh Smith from 2006, the last sophomore to do that. That was absolutely an incredible line. The Grizzlies lose this one. Let's hear from our guy, Joe Mullens of Locked On Grizzlies.
Tough loss for the Memphis Grizzlies, to be sure. Memphis now 0-3 against the Houston Rockets. They have lost any tiebreaker. Houston clearly the number 2 seed in the West for now. I'm Joe Mullens of Locked On Grizzlies, and it was a game that Memphis competed much more admirably in this time around compared to the action last week. Ja Morant had a better shooting night. The assist-to-turnover margin still a concern. The Grizzlies did better defensively, except for Jalen Green. He went off over 40 points in the contest. He was the difference maker for the Rockets. Zach Edey fouls out and was giving Şengün, who destroyed Memphis last week, some issues, but he wasn't able to stay on the floor, and Taylor Jenkins continues to not necessarily use Edey in the way that perhaps you and I thought he might. A tough loss. G.G. Jackson, Vince Williams Jr. injury updates came before the game. Come back soon. Seeing this team at full strength is a necessity before any trades are made.
That assist-to-turnover ratio he mentioned was a big note that I noted. 15 assists, 17 turnovers as a team. That's not great. I went and looked. Teams that have at least 15 or less turnovers or 15 or less assists and 17 or more turnovers in a game, you ready? All time. 588 and 2,664 all time. It's like an 18% winning percentage when you do those numbers. They were not going to win this game.
Yeah, it's tough to win that way because you don't get your offense in a rhythm. And I know the Grizzlies love to play at that high pace, love to play fast, but like if you're playing fast and turning the ball over, you don't have a chance to get yourself in any rhythm. And then you have to rely on just like your stars doing something in the game. And as mentioned, like Ja Morant had a good game, not as good as what we saw on the other side though with Jalen.
Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bane too. 3 of 5 from the field, 0 free throw attempts in the fourth quarter. Like
That's tough.
Those guys have got to get involved a little bit there in the fourth when they just couldn't generate any offense. And that's what we were talking about with the half court. Last stat for the Grizzlies from me. This ties their lowest offensive rebounds in a game. They got 8. And it's the first time this season Memphis has lost an offensive rebound battle, that a team has out offensive rebounded them. I was surprised to see that.
Shout out to the Rockets. They did their thing in this one. Like they had the right energy coming into this game. They were playing with pace even when they were down by 12. They did not let that stop them. And I think that says something too, because a lot of younger teams, you know, once you kind of get them down, they can kind of lay down. But this Rockets team doesn't have that in them.
Yeah, you get punched in the mouth and they're going to like sprint back at you.
Yeah.
It feels like with this Rockets team, especially Amen Thompson. He'll sprint and you don't know where he is. Coming up, let's talk about Cade Cunningham. Amazing game for Cade in MSG. We'll talk about their win against the Knicks. What does it mean for Cade going forward? They talked about a potential MVP this weekend for Cade, and I don't know. He just one-upped him. We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Wayfair. Wayfair, after the holiday hustle, nothing like giving your home some TLC. You look around and you're like, oh, I just removed the tree, and now all of a sudden it feels like there's an empty space, or I need to add something, or a carpet got destroyed by some kind of stain or something. So now you need to change it, declutter, refresh your space, and Wayfair can help you do that. I've used Wayfair before, and it was great. They sent free and hassle-free delivery, even for larger items. I got like a liquor, like cabinet kind of thing that I set up and I put it together myself, and they got delivered. And it was in the right color that I needed. Everything, there's something for every style of home, no matter your space or your budget. I waited around. They have deals sometimes where you go, oh, I can't turn this one down on Wayfair. Makes it easy to tackle your New Year's home goals with endless inspiration for every space. And you can go check out and see what's available at Wayfair right now. Wayfair.com right now. WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA Game Night. We've got every game, every night here. We also have a show that covers your favorite team every single day. Camille Davis and Justin over on Locked On Bucks. Myself over here doing Locked On Mavs all the time. We got that covered for you. So let's continue on. We'll talk about the Detroit Pistons, and it feels like we get a Pistons game every night, every Monday night on game night. Let's hear from our guy, Kuka, who could not have been more hyped after this win for the Pistons against the Knicks.
Cade Cunningham with another at the Madison Square Garden masterpiece. Host of the Locked On Pistons podcast, Kuka here. The Detroit Pistons get this win over the New York Knicks, and all that talking and all that flopping. The Pistons come back. Cade Cunningham scores 29 points in the second half, takes down the New York Knicks damn near by himself all the way up until the fourth quarter, where the Knicks were so scared to let Brunson check Cade Cunningham that they were willing to double team him outright and give wide open threes to Malik Beasley and THA at the end of this game. That's how bad Cade Cunningham was slicing and dicing them up. He was killing them. He was absolutely murdering them. I've never seen Cade get as mad as he did in the second half after the refs not calling any fouls, but it didn't matter. He still went out there and busted their you-know-what and sent them back home packing. They're already at home, but he sent them packing to the locker rooms. Cade is the man. Cade is the franchise dude. He's not just an all-star. He's coming for all NBA votes, too. Brunson, stop all that talking and check up.
Oh!
Talk to him, man, cool. Talk to him.
Talk. 36 points for Cade Cunningham in just 32 minutes for Cade. What did you see from him in this one?
I saw him get off to a really slow start. Foul trouble in the first half, 4 fouls before halftime. And at that point, the Knicks were up 4. Third quarter starts, and here comes Cade Cunningham. Scored the first 11 for the Pistons in the third quarter, had 29 points in the second half, 18 of those in the third quarter. He came out aggressive. He was not having it anymore. You could tell he was already upset from how the first half went. Then in the second half, he's upset because he's not getting the whistle he thinks he should be getting. And he didn't let that fuel him in a way where it was detrimental to the team. It fueled him in a way to be able to continue to make plays. And then down the stretch, when they're trapping him and trying to get the ball out of his hands, he's able to find shooters, and they're able to go up because Malik Beasley, big night for him as well.
Those last two plays were absolutely massive. Koo mentioned it, that Cade got doubled. 40 seconds left. Cade gets doubled. Cade has to swing it over to Tim Hardaway Jr. Tim Hardaway Jr. doesn't take the shot. Really good discipline, Tim Hardaway Jr. I'm proud of you. And he swings it over to Malik Beasley at a more wide open shot, hits the three. They go up by 4, and then 6 seconds left. Cade doubled again to Tim Hardaway Jr. to Malik Beasley. They're up by 5 after a Knicks shot went in, and then Beasley waving goodbye to the fans in Madison Square Garden, like waving bye to them. I was like, there's still 6 seconds left. I guess you're up by 5, but still going at it. Man, that was a really good one, and great for the Pistons. The Pistons, I mean, they're a legit. They're 21-19 now. They're multiple games over 500 right now.
They have won 10 of their last 12 games. They are 7-1 in 2025. They're a half a game out of 6th place in the East. The Pistons, a team that I was high on going into the season, saying that they were going to win as many games, the most games they have since their 41-41 season, and they are right on schedule for that. Like, this is a team that I think you're going to see in that play-in race in the East for sure. I don't know if they'll be able to push it to get into an actual playoff spot, but listen, if they keep playing the way they playing, it might be possible because Cade is an all-star.
How about the Pistons already have more wins than they've had in the last 4 out of 5 years?
It's January 14th.
14 wins, 17 wins, 23 wins, 20 wins, and 20 wins the last 5 years.
And here they are.
They have 21. Right?
They have a team that makes sense around Cade now. Those veteran additions made a big difference for them.
Absolutely. On the Knicks side, I'll just have this one thing. Ian Begley quoted Karl-Anthony Towns was asked a couple questions about his thumb. He seemed to be messing with it, and he was doing that. He asked if he needed x-rays. He said, "It is what it is," a few times about Cat.
So vague. He used that phrase a couple of times for every question, like, "Oh, your thumb. It is what it is. It is what it is." So I guess we'll find out what it is tomorrow. Maybe the Knicks will let us know since Cat didn't.
How do you think he voiced it? Do you think he was like, "It is what it is"?
It had to be the higher pitch one because it's a little bit more irritated, I think, after the game. It had to be the higher pitch voice.
Yeah. So definitely something to watch for them, because if Cat goes out, that is an interesting injury for the Knicks to try and navigate. And so we'll see. It is a thumb, though. We've seen Sabonis play with a broken thumb for forever in the playoffs and all that. The Lakers collapse again, like capital C collapse against the Spurs. They're up by 10 with 3:57 left in this game. And then the Spurs go on a 40-14 stretch over the next, basically a quarter, because till 4 minutes left in the game. A 40-14 stretch.
It's nuts.
Let's hear from our guy, Andy Kamenetsky. It's gotta be tough over there for the Lakers. Another collapse.
Andy Kamenetsky, co-host of the Locked On Lakers podcast, and the Lakers lose 126-102 to the Spurs at home, their second straight 20-plus point loss. They had been up 10 with 2 minutes, 43 seconds left in the third quarter, but turned the ball over 4 times during that period. It led to an 89-all tie at the end of the third, and then they were outscored 37-13 in the fourth quarter. They turned the ball over the Lakers 18 times in this game, which led to 25 San Antonio points, and the sloppiness, the inexplicable relaxing that this team often does during games continually comes back to bite them, and it ruined an otherwise really lovely night where Showtime legend Michael Cooper had his number 21 jersey retired into the rafters. For more Lakers coverage, make sure you're watching Locked On Lakers on YouTube and listening wherever you get your podcast.
You know who could have used Michael Cooper tonight? The Lakers. The Spurs scored 36 points in the third quarter, 37 in the fourth quarter, and the Lakers only scored 13. They could have used some of that defense from Michael Cooper, an all-time great defender. The thing to me, though, is sometimes your offense is your best defense, and I felt like that was what it was for the Lakers. Andy mentioned the turnovers, and it felt like a bunch of guys waiting around for LeBron to take over, because that's what stars do in the fourth quarter, and he's just 40.
Yeah. And 40-year-old LeBron can't do that at the level that he did, when he was 25, when he was 30, when he was 35. First of all, the fact that he's still playing basketball at this level at 40 is unbelievable. But in this game, the Lakers also got killed in the paint. And you would look at this and think they got Wemby. It wasn't even Wemby who was doing all that damage in the paint. It's Keldon Johnson, it's Devin Vassell, it's guys being able to penetrate, touch paint, and make the Lakers make a decision. And the Spurs continuously made the right decision at the end of that third quarter, going to the fourth quarter, and they really got on the roll.
Yeah, it's a good win for the Spurs for sure. Chris Paul was in control of this game. 13 points, 10 assists, and it just felt like he was directing traffic everywhere he was going, throwing insane passes. On the Lakers side, I'm just going to keep focusing on them. I just think they have too many chill guys. It feels like they need somebody to like kick them into gear and really step up. I just saw a lot of Lakers media people and fans posting about, man, this Lakers team collapsed again. I watched the Lakers firsthand the other day collapse against a Mavs team that didn't have Luka or Kyrie, and they just keep losing these games that don't make any sense.
That's what, 3 straight losses now for the Lakers against Texas teams, I believe.
That's
like
right.
They lost to the Rockets, lost to the Mavs. Now they
deep
lost
in
to
the heart of Texas.
But they have to be better. Like the trade that they made to get DFS over there with Melton, like you said, okay, that makes some sense to give them a little bit more defense, but they are still struggling on that end of the floor. And they also struggle offensively. Like Cam Reddish, really tough night for that guy, especially in the fourth quarter. Missed a layup right at the rim, missed the floater. Like it was tough.
You didn't have to say it like that.
It's tough.
Cam Reddish.
Cam Reddish.
They just have I feel like they just have too many chill guys. Also notable, their free throw rate, 11.8%. They're a team that gets a ton of free throws, and 11.8 is their lowest of the season.
That makes sense. The Spurs started playing some really good defense down the stretch there on the Lakers, and the Lakers didn't have any answers for it outside of Anthony Davis.
Dan Woike posted about this and reported that there was a really sweet moment when Victor Wembanyama and Chris Paul gave their jerseys after the game to JJ Redick's sons, who lost a lot of their stuff and a lot of their sports memorabilia in the fires in LA. Thought that was a really good moment from two of the best beautiful. In the NBA.
Yeah, I love to hear stuff like that. People coming together after a tragedy. It shows you the best in humanity at times.
100%. The Warriors are not the best that they have been this year or even in recent memory. Let's get into their collapse against the Raptors and hear what happened to Chris Boucher in the fourth quarter.
Whew.
Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use that code Locked On NBA to get $20 off your first purchase. Game Time has great stuff all the time. Check wherever you are, whatever city you live in. There's all kinds of stuff happening, and you never know what is on Game Time and what it's going to cost and all that. I live in Dallas, Texas, and right now they've got WWE coming to the American Airlines Center on Monday. $76 to get in there. There's Canadians versus the Stars. I got my tickets on Game Time to go there on Thursday. Gonna be great stuff. They got the Stockyards in Fort Worth, Dickies Arena, $35 to go see a rodeo. Go check that out. All kinds of great stuff on Game Time. They have the views from your seat. They have the all-in pricing, so you can see that. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create that account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Also brought to you by Hungry Root. One of the things I struggle with is coming up with new recipes and new things all the time that I want to make. I cook a lot and I want to make my own food, but I don't want to just keep making the same thing over and over again. And when it comes to grocery shopping and meal planning, Hungry Root has you covered. It's a game changer. It's easiest and healthiest way without all the stress. Hungry Root is like having a personal shopper and a nutritionist at the same time. They take care of my grocery shopping, recommend meals, grocery based on my taste and health goals, all that kind of stuff. You can do anti-inflammatory, high protein, gluten-free options, all kinds of things like that. And every meal is ready in 15 minutes or less. 15 minutes or less. Quick, healthy meals that actually taste great. You're going to love Hungry Root as much as we do. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA and use that code LockedOnNBA. That's hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA for 40% off and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA. Code LockedOnNBA. Don't miss out.
Chicken, baby. Zion Williams and porn stuff.
Take that for that.
Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up.
It's Count It Up, where we count all the most interesting, fun things in the NBA tonight. The Golden State Warriors lose to the Toronto Raptors. And let's just hear the Raptor side of this from Sean Woodley here. He was pretty happy. Chris Boucher did what in the fourth quarter?
Stop Chris Boucher. You can only hope to contain him. Sean Woodley here from Locked On Raptors, talking about the Raptors taking down the Golden State Warriors 104-101. Thanks to Chris Boucher going off for 17 fourth quarter points. He scored 18 in the game. He was insane down the stretch. Heat check threes, put back dunks, drives and finishes. Chris Boucher continues what's been a crazy week for him. He's scoring 16 points a game after averaging 10 for the lion's share of the season. And in that time, he's shooting 25 of 33 from the floor, 76%. He's been absolutely incredible. And for a Raptors team that has not had a whole lot of bright spots, to see Boucher go off like this to take down the Warriors for just their 9th win of the season, it might go down as one of the most stupid fun wins of the year for the Raptors. And don't look now, but Chris Boucher kind of maybe playing himself into being a trade chip for the Raptors. He's on an expiring $12 million deal, and it seems like he might be pretty attainable for some team if they pony up a second-round pick or two. We'll see if the Raptors can make good on Chris Boucher's heater, but if they don't, Chris Boucher being around to go nuts every once in a while, that's not so bad either.
I love the little aside. He goes, 17 points in the fourth quarter, 18 points total in the game. He scored 1 point the whole rest of the game. He hit 17 in the fourth, though.
Who would have thought in the fourth quarter that he was going to do that based on how that game flow was going? Like, you kept looking at the score, like, okay, they're keeping it close. And then in the fourth, it's like he's hitting contested threes. Like, it was like he had his takeover badge. Like, it was NBA 2K. His takeover badge was on. Double takeover, Mamba mentality takeover. He just couldn't miss.
Yeah, the Warriors, by the way, had 23 points in the fourth quarter. So it's Chris Boucher 17, Warriors 23. Brutal one for them. The Golden State Warriors were 12-3 to start the season. November 22nd, they were 12-3, number 1 team in the West, 3rd best record in the NBA. Since then, they've gone 7-16, and they're now 11th in the West. My question for you, Camille Davis.
Count it up.
Are the Warriors done? Will we see them in the playoffs? Not the play-in, but the playoffs.
Not this year. Not this year. They don't have enough this year. Unless they do something drastic at the trade deadline, they just don't have enough secondary scoring behind Steph Curry. It's not enough.
They didn't have Draymond Green in this one, didn't have Kuminga, didn't have Pajemski. They're supposed to be this team that has a ton of guys. They're supposed to be like 10, 11, 12 deep. And they just keep, like, they're like, all right, well, we don't have this guy. Oh, we don't have this guy. It's like, okay, well, who's stepping up in the absence? And you got 26 from Curry. You only got 12 from Schroeder. That trade has not been as good as I think that they hoped it was going to be. And then you got 13 from Kyle Anderson. And then you got 20 from Wiggins. And you're Buddy Hield, 2 of 10 from 3. Did you not, like you said, they're just not finding it anywhere else.
No. Outside of Steph Curry, the Warriors shot 26 of 71 from the field. 36%. 37 if you want to round up. But again, not good enough. If you want to round up, you know,
they don't deserve for me to round up.
But it's crazy because, like you mentioned, all those guys who weren't in this game, and yet and still, Moses Moody only played 14 minutes. Like it's they just don't have enough.
Yeah, the hall pass god Lindy Waters played more than him. The Toronto Raptors also had this moment where they picked a kid out of the crowd to do one of those games during a timeout, and he was wearing a Steph Curry jersey. And the game ops people made him take the jersey off and put on a Raptors shirt. My question is,
Count it up.
Are they wrong for it, or is that a good move by the Raptors game ops crew?
That's fair game. That's fair.
Wow.
Game. I'm here for it. Maybe not make him take it off, but give him the Raptor. Put it on. Like, you're coming down here for a Raptors game. You put this on. Okay. You are in Toronto, young sir. You put this on.
The clip that I saw, I think, was the Warriors broadcast, and they were talking about it like it was a crime against this child, that he like it was a violation.
Listen, if the kid was real, if he was really down for the Warriors, he could have refused and just walked off the court.
The Heat should have just walked off the court, because without Bam Adebayo, obviously Jimmy Butler's still out. They got beat by the Clippers. They only had 68 points through 3 quarters in this game. The Clippers defense is great. The thing about the Clippers in this game, though, is Ty Lue was just messing around with their rotation. Yeah. They played Chris Dunn. They started him. He played 25 minutes. They played Amir Coffey, 24 minutes. Nick Batum, 24 minutes. Derek Jones Jr., only 15 minutes. He had a kind of an injury scare there, though. And Terrence Mann, who started 71 games for the team last year, started 11 this year. He's been coming back from an injury, but he didn't play at all. Ty Lue, after the game, said, I just wanted to see something. My question is,
Count it up.
Are you pro or con a coach just sitting a guy that started 71 games just to see something?
In this situation, I'm here for it, because the Clippers haven't played well for like over a month. Like, they've lost, I think, since December 4th, 8 of their last 14 games. Like, it just wasn't looking right. I'm not mad at a coach trying to shake something up when you're seeing that the product that you're putting on the court right now isn't working.
They're trying it. And it's okay, especially against a team like this that
Right.
They didn't have any started Kevin Love at center. Yeah, Tyler Hero like trying to get all the free throws he could get. He had a good game, 32 points, 11 boards, and 7 assists. But yeah, I thought that was interesting that he was just like, hey, I just sat him. I just wanted to see something.
Yeah, and he saw it. He saw a win. So like,
Well, sorry, Terrence, man.
There might be a role for you later on. Just not tonight against the Heat.
You know who else saw a win was Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards against the Washington Wizards, 41 points. The Timberwolves were only up by 2 with 8:24 in the fourth quarter, and then they went on a 16-2 run and ended up winning the game. And Anthony Edwards said this: it was one of the first times where I felt like I was at home in an away arena. My question is, if you're the Wizards and the Timberwolves are like a home game at your home arena, what do you do?
You hope that you can keep selling tickets based on the opponent, because this rebuild is testing the patience of a lot of people in Washington, D.C. That's what it's doing.
They're just going to start putting all the opponents on all the marketing and all the merch and all the banners and stuff like, hey, LeBron's coming next week.
Like, we're going to sell you on this hope. Like, I remember the Bucks had their one, it was like own the future. That was like their slogan for the year when they were really young. And it was like, okay, I mean, sure, we can try that.
Are you a Harry Potter fan?
I am, a huge one.
Okay. Jordan Poole showed up in custom Harry Potter robes that has initials on it. Did you see this?
I did not.
If you had to guess which house Jordan Poole was in, I won't give you 4 guesses because there's only 4 houses. I'll give you one guess. Which house did Jordan Poole have? He had a specific house. He had the crest on his robe.
I know he's not a Hufflepuff. I know he's probably not a Gryffindor, but is he Slytherin ambitious, or is he more like Ravenclaw witty? You know what? He got a slick mouth. He's probably a Ravenclaw.
Wow.
He got a slick mouth.
Wow. I would not have guessed Ravenclaw because it takes a wit and it's about learning and wisdom. And like, that's not things that I attribute to Jordan Poole necessarily.
Listen, Jordan Poole is from Milwaukee. I'm from Milwaukee as well. There's a certain way you carry yourself. And I know that he has a slick mouth. I mean, that's part of what happened with him and Draymond when they got into it. You know, you talk a little bit. It feels Ravenclaw into me, but like the others, like the edgy Ravenclaw, like the cool Ravenclaw kid in the corner.
Wow, that segment could not have gone better. I had no idea if you liked Harry Potter or not.
I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I'm a Hufflepuff, by the way.
I was gonna say, I can tell. I'm a basic Gryffindor. That's what I am.
Makes sense. I can see that.
Last one here. LiAngelo Ball signed a deal with Def Jam Universal Music Group. A representative from his label says sources say the deal is worth as much as $13 million, $8 million guaranteed, getting in like an NFL contract over here. LiAngelo Ball is. My question is, count it up. Over under 1.5 more LiAngelo Ball bangers. We already got Tweaker. Are we getting
one more?
Yeah, he could get one more, but could he get 2 more?
I'm taking the over. I believe
taking the over.
If he has this sound, like he's bringing that like mid 2000 sound back.
Under.
If that's his lane and he can keep putting out some hits there, he got the basketball players rocking with it. He got NFL players rocking with it.
He does.
It's gonna happen, Nick. It's gonna be all over the place.
The Mavs walked out to that song the other day.
See?
And like PJ Washington and Derek Lively were singing it on the court. I'm like, this song came out 2 days ago.
Whoa. Like, that's all you need.
Let us know what you think, if he's going to get another banger or not. That's the NBA tonight. Go check out all the great shows that cover all those teams. We have Locked On Timberwolves, Locked On Clippers, Locked On Heat and all that. Shout out to Darian Baziri. He told me, he's like, I'm coming back stronger and better than ever. Shout out to him. And he's getting a computer and he's like, all right, I'm coming back. I'm like, hey man, take your time. He's like, I'm coming back. And gotta love that about Darian. Go check out all the great stuff we have. Newsletters all across as well. Go check out all the great shows. Links in the description. Guys, thanks for listening to Locked On NBA Game Night. Boom.